What if your guilt, your anxiety, and your addiction actually keep you connected? We often talk about how those emotions are deeply disconnecting. That keeps you disconnected from the present moment, disconnected from the group of people that you are currently surrounded by. But what if we expand our vision? What if we look at you, at a person, from the point of view of the system, starting from the family system? What if your anxiety is the one thing that all women in your lineage have in common? What if that is what actually connects you? In some way, you experience your anxiety, and that keeps you loyal to your family. Our loyalties are subconscious. When we look at an individual from the perspective of just right now, this lifetime, it seems like those feelings do not serve. Your guilt doesn't serve. It keeps you away from life. Your anxiety doesn't serve. But if you look at it from the systemic point of view, when you look at the person as part of the system, and first of all, the family system, meaning all the relatives and all the important karmic connections, what opens up is that is your way of expressing your loyalty to your family. That is the way you express your love. It may not be serving love, it may not be healthy, harmonious love that your ancestors wishes you experience, but it is love. It's the love of a child. If you're familiar with the book The Existential King, Carolyn Elliott presents this idea: if you have it, some part of you wants it. So I invite you to look at your guilt and your anxiety, at your addiction from the point of view of yes and. Yes, it keeps you disconnected from today, and it keeps you connected to yesterday. And by yesterday, we mean our ancestors. So the healing is not removing your addiction or removing your anxiety. The healing is turning towards your anxiety or your anger or your guilt, acknowledging the role of it as the connecting piece that kept you in touch with your roots, that your conscience might have been taking you away from. Honoring the role of that anxiety, the role of that addiction, that it kept you connected, that it kept you close to your missing father, that it kept you close to the grandmother who experienced that guilt or who experienced that anxiety, who experienced that fear. Asking for blessing to find a different way to connect, and therefore giving up your role as the one who is also anxious, just like you, mom, I'm feeling that anxiety. So it's some way when part of you wants to move forward, look forward, go towards life, towards your life force, towards your mission in life, towards your full expression, there's another part of you who wants to hide because those before you were hiding or felt like they didn't have a choice. They felt like there was an order to be that specific way. There was a system, there was a cultural belief, and they plugged into that. So when we talk about healing, it's a movement towards choice. I acknowledge the choices of previous generations, and I honor my choice. With your blessing, I will find a different way to stay connected with you. And that way may be living fully, living visibly, living out of hiding, finding happy relationship, happy intimacy with my partner, happy marriage, happy connection with my children, happy, fulfilling career, that I now have a choice. And that takes bravery. That takes a step of an adult. As an adult, we no longer live in the emotional field of our parents. But how many of us actually went through the process of initiation? How many of us turned towards our parents, bowed to them, honored their choices, honor their destiny and ask for blessing, saying, I would like your blessing. Please bless me to live differently. When we step into the subconscious field, when we step into the constellation, if you don't know what constellation is a systemic work. It's the way of looking at the person from the point of the system of the family, the system of the culture, the system of the society. It's when we no longer look at ourselves as something isolated, disconnected, when we no longer take ourselves as an object that is not affected by the environment to the degree we don't even realize. Once we open ourselves to the possibility that we are so deeply interconnected, we may look at ourselves as a part of a harmonious system, as a part of the pattern, as a part of design, as a part of the fabric of life. And in that fabric of life, we move according to the patterns that started way before us. And the thing is, we are blind to that. No matter how much mindful work we do, we're usually blind to it until we are shown what truly is inside us. We are guided, right? There is the reason why every hero in a journey needs a guide, because the guide simply looks from outside of the picture. The inside of the picture, we have our inner guardians who say the trauma happened there, the contraction in my body happened there. And that's why I'm not allowed to go there, because there's pain, because it may overwhelm you, because it may break you, because if you go into suffering, if you go into that grief, it may never stop. We know it does, but our brain doesn't go there. So we use the supportive tools. We first get connected to ourselves, to the inner peace, to the higher consciousness. With that connection, we feel empowered to look at something that otherwise, in our normal mundane state of living in a daily life, we do not have access to. And that's why we use group energy. That's why we use connection to the divine, whatever tool we can use to get ourselves connected and supported. So we then have access to the shadow valley, to something that's behind the veil. That is a subconscious work. We have the tools to do that now. We didn't before, and we were not open to them before, but things changed. Things shifted. We're in a new world now. We don't have to hide now. So I invite you to look at those emotions, at those what you consider blocks that keep you stuck from a different perspective. What if those blocks, that anger, that guilt, that addiction, that anxiety, that feeling of repetitive pattern that you do, is actually the blessing that kept you all this time, not just alive, not just surviving, but connected to your lineage and beyond. And through that connection, you can now walk into the door of I receive and reclaim your place in the family system as the one who stops that suffering while keeping your connection. Not saying that they did it the wrong way and I'm going to do it the right way now, because that is repeating the pattern. But standing in that space of peace, honoring with gratitude everything that happened before, and now saying, thank you for getting me here. I see you. I honor you. I honor everything you've done. I understand that whatever you gave me is the biggest thing you could. I understand that whatever you gave me took you a lot. It took everything you had. I understand that you might have thought that there's no choice. And I am the one to declare that I am choosing differently. And from that point, say, I no longer have to suffer. Those after me no longer have to suffer. I take the good and leave the rest. I take the love and leave the rest. That is not just about one idea. The idea is the strongest, most powerful thing there is. If you live from that idea, if you live the idea that your anxiety is the silver line that connected you to your ancestors, now you get to change that line. Now you get to heal that line. Now you get to turn anxiety into empowerment. Now you get to experience how much stronger your support is as you step into life with the idea that everything that happened before you happened so you can be here, shifted, and create the new way of living. Imagine the gift, the legacy you are leaving for the future generations, knowing, moving forward from that place, moving forward from the strongest support there is, that everything you are about to receive in life, your ancestors support you in.